Well, welcome to your first YouTube lesson in pre-calculus. So this is section 1.1, Graphs and Graphing Utilities. You should have your book handy, open to section 1.1, your notebook's open, and your pencil in hand. So this is how you're going to be taking your notes. And you can pause the video at any time, you can rewind, you can look over a section again, and take the notes as you would in class. So let's get going. This is section 1.1, Graphs and Graphing Utilities. This is a review of what you should have been learning since Algebra 1 on up. So when we talk about graphing, we have some different terminology. The first being that this is a Cartesian coordinate, rectangular coordinate, or ordered pairs. Those are three names for the kind of ordered pairs that we see on a graph. For example, 3, 5 that would be plotted on your graph paper. This can be called a Cartesian plane or a coordinate plane, and the ordered pairs can have these names as well. When we talk about quadrants, we talk about the first, second, third, and fourth quadrant. And again, this is information that you should be very familiar with. Pause the video if you need to take a moment to copy some of this down, and I am going to go ahead and move on. The graph of an equation in two variables, y equals mx plus b, is the most common form that we see for an equation in two variables. This, as you know, is going to form a line on the Cartesian plane. And when we look for a solution of an equation in two variables, when we talk about solutions, we're talking about an x and y, or an ordered pair, that will make the equation true. So if we have y equals 3x plus 1, a possible solution would be 1, 4. As you know, there are an infinite number of solutions available for any linear equation or equation with two variables. The graph of an equation in two variables is the set of all points that satisfy that equation. So if we take all of the ordered pairs that we could find for a given equation and plot them on graph paper, we would find the graph of the equation. So the solution is one of the possible ordered pairs. The graph is a pictorial representation of all of the ordered pairs that are solutions. And we graph equations by plotting all of the various points. Obviously there are other ways to graph lines and parabolas and things, but one of the common ways to graph is by plotting points, and you can use an XY table to do that. Examples 2 and 3 in your textbook demonstrate this method of plotting equations. Again, this should all be very familiar to you. Pause if you need to copy some of this down, and then move on. Okay, a little bit about graphing with your calculator. You should be familiar with this at this point. We have what's called a viewing window. The standard window is a window that allows us to see 10 units in each direction on the x and the y axis, and that's called the standard window. You can also customize any windows by plotting or using the window button at the top of your calculator and creating any window that you would like. The textbook that we're using this year demonstrates viewing windows by using a particular notation that I'll be asking you to use. A standard window, we say that it is -10 to 10 with 1 unit for each hash mark. and that's for the x, and then we do the same for the y. We give the parameters -10 to 10 and then 1 as the spacing between the marks. And you can customize a window any way you want, but we'd still use this notation. So if I want my x values to go from -2 to 7, and I want to have marks every half a unit, and then I want my y-axis to go from 2 to 3 with marks every half a unit, this is how I would indicate that particular window setting. So just to familiarize you with the new notation that this textbook uses. You should know how to use your table features to create ordered pairs for any given equation. So if I enter y equals 3x plus 1 and go to table, I should be able to see an xy table that would give me all of the possible ordered pairs forever and ever. And if you go in and change your independent variable, which is your x variable, to auto, or from auto, excuse me, to ask, then rather than the x values here filling in by themselves, you can indicate what exact value you want for x. We'll talk about all of this calculator information in class, but this is stuff you should be familiar with, so just get your calculator out, play around with it a little bit, and make sure you remember how to do this. And y-intercepts, you should be able to see the y-intercept on your graph, as well as x-intercepts for that matter, and we will work with that again in class, but you may want to pull your calculators out and refresh your memory so that we can go through this rather quickly.